Well, we're here at Pegasus Hobbies to walk in and have an interview, right? My lovely wife here is going to be the camera lady and tell me when I'm going wrong. And Tom,
guest host extraordinaire.
Yes, he'll be here with us today too. Hello everyone, you know who I am, you know, Bad Grendels. John.
Hey everybody, ModelmanTom here.
You know who he is. And this is Tom at Pegasus Hobbies.
Yes.
Okay. What's your last name?
McComber.
McComber. Tom McComber. We're here to talk to him about running a large hobby shop. We're going to put a video tour of this hobby shop in a little bit. But this is the biggest hobby shop I've been in, period, hands down, in a very long time. Very long time. They got some very interesting stuff, like this case behind us. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. This is Pegasus Hobbies. It is the Pegasus Hobbies that makes Pegasus models. And this is all their models in the case behind us. So I got some questions here for Tom, who runs the day-to-day operation of the store. How do you get a hobby shop this big?
Yeah, you start with a small one. and you just keep filling it up. And
keep filling it up.
And every time you get it full, you go to a bigger one and fill that one up.
Okay.
Basically. Sorry.
That one's out for me. In fact, I'm going to silence mine real quick.
Hey, Robert, can I call you back? All right, give me a little while and I'll call you right back.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to take up too much of your time.
I'll turn that off.
Well, anyhow, so you just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, you know, this is our third location. Our first location, we were in 2 years. It was maybe 2,000 square feet. And our second location was about 4,000 square feet, and then we expanded that 3 times into other units in the same strip mall.
Right.
And we ended up being about 7,500, I think, when we
wow.
got out of there. And then we bought. That's right across the parking lot from where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. And in this location was an old LA Fitness gym. It's 20,000 square feet.
And it's full.
It's full, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Floor to ceiling.
Which surprises me. One thing that surprises me, when I go in most hobby shops, it's mainly RC.
Yes.
And then you've got this whole section over here. It's nothing but models and tabletop gaming.
Yes.
And a lot of hobby shops don't have this stuff.
Well, space is definitely a factor for most hobby shops. You know, you can only carry what you can fit inside of your store. Mm-hmm. So it's forced us to have a large store because we want to have a lot of variety and we want to be able to please a wider variety of people. You know, it's a struggle in this hobby industry at this time, and things like this are helping and hurting. You know, it creates a way that people don't have to come to a hobby shop to see what's new.
Right.
You know, they can go on your video and see it all. They can go to a mail order company and buy it all, mostly cheaper than I'm selling it in most cases, but when you come here, you can go and look at 50 different versions of the same model airplane if you're looking for a certain airplane, and they're all right here for you. So
right, like I see a whole bunch of 747 models up there that are all a little bit different.
Yeah. So, you know, we have an advantage in that aspect, being able to draw in from a huge area. You know, and being in LA, we do have quite an audience, so it really helps us, where this might not work in a small town in Texas, or you know where
it definitely would not work in my town.
You know, but you know it takes a client base to have something like this, and that's what made it work for us.
There's so few shops around nowadays. Even in LA, I can count 3, maybe 4 with you, and they just keep going down. And
well, again, you know, we struggle to be profitable. You know, it's a very difficult business to stay afloat.
Right,
you know,
with the internet the way it is.
Well, there's so many people that are willing to work on a much lower margin than it takes to run a store.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so it's a struggle, and you know, I've told customers for years here at this store, there's 3 things that every customer wants. You know, they want the best price, the best selection, and the best service. And I tell them they can have 2. I give them good service and good selection.
Right.
Well, that's the other factor here is the guys behind the counters are presumably fairly experienced. So when someone does come to a shop,
I was talking to the paint guy over there earlier. He knows his paint.
Well, in this store, we've kind of separated it into every area is a department. And every department has a guy that runs it. And every guy that runs it knows what he's talking about. And, you know, and if he doesn't if you ask my paint guy about cars, he's going to take you over to the car guy.
Right.
You know, I mean, he may know about cars, but he's going to probably give you to the experts. You know,
Right. Like I asked him about Createx paints, and he's like, "Here's how you thin it." And I was like, "I've never even heard of that." But I've heard 3 other ways of thinning it, and he knew the other 3 too. Which,
there you go.
Createx paints aren't the easiest things to run through an airbrush for a model, on a model idea. Because they are very thick and heavy paints, and he knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, we've got a lot of kids that have worked here since they were really kids. You know, this is usually their first job, and it's not usually their last job, but
Nice.
They keep it for a while.
they do keep it for a while. Most of the kids that work here are in school, you know, and it makes it affordable for them to have a side job and usually live at home and get their education.
Right.
And then I lose them.
You know how that is? That's the same thing with my business.
Yeah.
I hire them on when they're freshmen or sophomores, and they work until they're seniors, and then they're off in the real world.
Works for us too.
How did you start the store? Was it just models or just RC or trainer or a little mix?
No,
of
we've always
everything?
been a full line store. We've always tried to have a variety. I have a partner, Larry Thompson, and him and I started the store 30 years ago. And
Wow.
we both had different interests. His interests were models and trains, and mine were cars and planes. So
There you go.
it's worked out just well.
That also explains the store size, being open for 30 years.
Yeah.
You've had 30 years to get it here.
Yes.
This didn't happen overnight.
No, it takes quite a while. It was surprising, when we moved from the other store to this store, and we moved into this place, and we had all of our stuff in here, and the model kits, instead of being this way, they were this way, to take up space. But you can see they're back to this way.
Right. They are. I also noticed, and I don't know if you're knowledgeable on this, a whole bunch of Japanese imported models in the sci-fi section.
We buy everything that we could find, and we try to have every kind of model that anybody might want. And I buy tons of collections. Modelers, they get
That was
old
going to
and
be my
they get
next
out
question.
of it.
You're answering my next question beforehand here.
Yeah,
I mean, do you buy from people who bring them in?
You see things in here that you won't see in stores because it's old. And I buy collections probably 2 to 3 a month. Whether they're car models or plane models or sci-fi models or ship models or whatever it is. When guys are ready to get out of it, we're a source for them to liquidate.
You go around to a lot of the kit shows.
You know what? I don't. I sell to the guys that do. So it's better for me to not compete against them. I buy a lot, and people buy from me, and they take it there. And usually, if I'm looking up an old kit and it says 20 of them sold at $10, I'm going to put mine out there for about 8. Maybe 7. And let a guy be able to buy it, and then try and remove it through his line.
Right. Gotcha. Makes sense. It does make sense.
Where do you guys go from here?
Well,
Keep moderating along? Or?
Our store is pretty complete. I mean, the inventory changes regularly. It's you can't always have the same thing, but models are, some models have been around for 50 years, and you still got to have them.
Right. It's true.
And then there's certain models that come and you never get another one. It just depends on what they are and the subjects.
Right. So here's another question. Which part of the store sells better? The RC, the models?
I would say our split is maybe not what you would think. Radio control is probably 50% of our sales.
That's not what I would think.
Models are a much smaller percentage of what this store's split is. It's probably not even 10% of what this store does.
That's what I
And
expected.
die-cast and trains.
And die-cast and trains, and everybody has a piece of that, 100%. But,
Right.
it's
So that's more what I expected.
okay.
Because every time I go in a hobby shop, and anyone who's been a long time viewer of my channel knows this, I go in hobby shops anytime I travel and try to talk to people.
That's just being a hobbyist.
That's true. That's true.
Because there ain't nowhere I go that I don't go to every single store there is.
You can ask my wife. We stop at a lot of them.
With cameras, I don't have to rip the pages out of the yellow page anymore.
But every hobby shop I go into, it's mainly RC with a small section of models.
Well, it's
And that's what you're telling me explains it.
well. I mean, guys like you are probably our biggest a biggest advocate of getting new customers and getting new guys interested in this hobby. You know, it's tough to get a kid to want to be a model builder when you hand them a radio controlled car that has a throttle and gas and sound and you know,
or Nintendo,
or you know, even Nintendo is, you know, the video games definitely play a big portion of taking our customers away from what we used to consider our customers.
Right. Attention span too. A lot of the kids don't have an attention span long enough to put it together.
Well, we deal with a lot of kids here, and we definitely promote father and son teams, and we work with a lot of the Boy Scouts around here, and we're always pushing them to be modelers and rocket builders and whatever, you know, just anything to broaden their horizon, you know, because when you're young, you're impressionable, and you need to be, you need your horizons need to be broadened always.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand. I have a 7-year-old daughter who's into Gundam kids.
Perfect. Yeah.
She likes to sit down and build them while I'm working on something else.
There's a lot of them out there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So along those lines, you guys have a lot of events here for father-son or Cub
You know,
Scouts,
we
or-
do a couple of in-house local model contests right in the store. We set up tables in the aisles, and we have a little bit of a room in the back where we do classes and such, and we'll set that up for a model contest when we have it. But yeah.
Gotcha. I saw the track out back for the RC guys.
Yeah, we have a racetrack here. We do racing once a week. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, with RC guys it is.
It's still, I mean, even though we race, racing isn't what we try to do. You know, we just try to be a place where moms can come with their kids and dads and have fun and come out here and play in our back and you know, kill a few hours.
Right, I noticed too a whole aisle of nothing but kid science type stuff.
Oh sure, yeah. School projects are really big. You know, we try to support that well. And Pegasus makes a lot of kits that support the science and school project line.
Like some of these right back here.
Yes, lots of you know, trees and bushes and palm trees and banana trees and different things that you would need in a scenery.
Right, and the little guys to go with it.
Yeah, actually, a lot of those guys are ours, and there's just a lot. Why so many kits, so many.
Right, you guys do the Egypt ones too?
Yeah, those are our cold cast porcelain line, mostly for gaming.
Right, but you wanted to make a diorama. There's some good stuff there.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that we've made over the years. Not everything is still in production, but a lot of it's still around.
Okay. You got any more questions, Tom?
No, not off the top.
I'm running off too. That's the fun part.
How did you guys decide to get into producing your own model kit line?
Well, our first thing that we started with was model rims.
Yeah,
And,
I knew that.
And being that we were you know, a large car model shop, we were constantly getting asked for rims that weren't made. And we would pass that on to Revell and Monogram and AMT and all the companies that were around during that era and say, hey, you guys should make this and you should make this. And it didn't seem like they were ever very interested in doing any of the things that we were recommending. So we made our first one, and then we made our second, and our third, and our fourth, and our fifth, and our 10th, and 20th, and 30th, and 50th.
And it grew from there.
You know, and it was, it's been an adventure. You know, we have, we have probably 100 different styles of model wheels now that we offer.
Yeah, I bought a few.
You know, that you know, there's obscure stuff that a few people want, and there's popular stuff that a lot of people want.
A lot of my viewership is on the sci-fi models, so to see the line that you guys have done there with the War of the Worlds and all those 1950s movies, as well as the fictional, what is it, Apollo 27?
Yes. And we plan on continuing some of the made-up rocket ships. You know, the cool stuff. That's just something that looks cool versus
like
whether it was
9.
real or not. You know, it looks cool.
Like the Mercury 9.
Yeah, like the Randy Cooper thing is. You know, I mean that has people think it's from Space Odyssey 2000, so it has a look.
It has a feel to it.
It also has a Machining Krieger look.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, you got some of the kits on the shelf over there.
Like I told you before, my side of the store is the other side. Larry's side is this side. He's our model guy, and you can ask him about anything.
I've been holding
over
off on the questions about this stuff in this case for him.
Okay.
You know, Larry's actually not here, but Scott Willis is one of our product designers, and he's here, and he
He will know.
He's designed 80% of the stuff that you see here. So he's a very good guy to talk to about it if you want to have real answers.
That'll work. But the questions I have left are all about this case.
All right.
So
I'll grab them for you.
that'll work.
No, that's it.
Let's see if he's here. now that we think he's here, let's see if he's here.
Thank you for your time.
All
I
right,
say
thank
thank
you.
you before we quit recording.
All right.
And they force him to do so much of each type.
Yes,
Yes,
they call it their departments.
Yes, he has to have a model department. He's got a bigger model department than most hobby towns. He's selling them.
Oh.
It's just that the variety is shrinking.
It's tough. I mean, you could look at my stickers, and that's how I tell. You know, you see blue ones, green ones, red ones, white ones. That's how old they are.
Good idea.
You know, blue
Vintage,
ones are pretty fresh.
1997.
Green ones are really fresh.
Right. Should put the camera back on, by the way. I started asking good questions. It should have been on camera.
You know, the white ones are probably the oldest. It's about a 5-year circle.
Yeah.
So if it's 5 years old, it could be 10 years old.
Gotcha. But what I was saying is I've noticed the ones who aren't open to buying in kits have their model department shrink. The ones who buy in kits, the model department is
Well,
not
maybe
small.
it creates an interest. You know, I think that I'm known for that here, and I think that people come here in expectation of seeing things that they may not see somewhere else.
Or finding a childhood kit. Because when you're buying in collections
That's
like
definitely
that,
what you're going to see, you know, not see somewhere else, because you know the chances of that childhood kit that you have still being available, you know, it could be a re-release, but sometimes it takes a long time before a re-release comes out.
Exactly, and that's I would think what's part of it. Another part of it is when you're willing to buy in those kits, the guy who sold them to you is like, he's a good guy, just
Hey
go
Jeff,
there.
could you call Scott down here?
You know, you just say, hey, he's a good guy, let's go there. You get better word of mouth.
And I think in a lot of cases, if you buy a collection off somebody in particular, they're going to have a lot of really choice kits across a really wide range of
Well,
types.
you know what? It really seems to be that collectors collect certain things.
Yeah.
You know, there's very few collectors that are a wide variety. You know, he's a car guy; he collects cars. He's a plane guy; he collects jets. You know, airliners.
Right.
You know, if he's an airliner guy, he probably doesn't have any military in his collection. You know, and he probably surely doesn't have any tanks. You know, if he's a tank guy, he could have helicopters and he could have jets because they kind of need them. You know,
Right. I'm a sci-fi guy, but you'll find cars and tanks in my collection.
a few, but
A few, correct.
A few. But, you know,
Correct.
if you buy 100 models from a guy, you know, and he's a sci-fi guy, you might get 10% of something else.
It's like I have a few cars, but they're all related to films.
Sci-fi, you know.
Or
Yeah, sure, you probably, you know, you have the Ghostbusters, or you have, you know, the guy that time travels. What's his name?
Doctor Who.
Yeah. No. Back to the Future.
Back to the
Back to the
Future. You
Future,
probably have Back
yeah.
to the Future. You know, you
Yeah, see, not me. I
could have a time machine. You know,
I built a Honda Prelude for fun.
you probably owned one.
No. Actually, no.
Why would someone want a Prelude?
Good question, but in fact, that's probably why I built it, because no one else is going to.
That's the point.
And it's a challenge to build a real life type thing, because everyone knows what it's supposed to look like. Whereas, you know, your Terminator aerial killer over there, you've only seen it in the movie. So you got more variety of that.
Well, Scott's down here right now.
Okay.
If you want me to?
That'll work. We can trade out.
You want to blindside him into this?
Oh man, I wasn't like dressed for any like interviews. Or
Hey, I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. So,
How you doing?
not too bad. My name's John
John?
Forsythe.
Nice to meet you, Scott Willis.
Scott, these guys are. He's out of
YouTubers.
Venice and he's out of Texas, and they're YouTube guys. They have a YouTube model channel.
Oh well, welcome to California. Our crazy state.
You know, and they were just. They were